When we're preparing candidates for an interview, we go through an extensive prep. But outside of that, I like to have them think about the interview from a big picture perspective, what their mindset is on the role, what I've shared with them in the role, and then I guide them as to when they start the interview, after you get past the whole weather and small talk with the interviewee, is to ask them what their perspective on the role, strategy, strengths, weaknesses, in an effort to get that person to talk. Statistics would have it that when the interviewee is talking less than the interviewer, it tends to go better. They tend to learn more. It affords them the opportunity to make a better assessment of the opportunity, gives them more information as far as questions to ask throughout the interview. And from a big picture psychological standpoint, most people won't move forward if there's not a bond built. And an easy way to get a bond built is by conversation. An easy way to get conversation going is by questioning. And it helps get it going on the right track. There's going to be some small talk out of the gate, but once that small talk is done, let them share with you the details of the role. It helps. We were working with a candidate last year who was a project manager, and we placed him ultimately as a general manager for an organization. And when we initiated the conversations with the candidate, on paper, he did not appear to be the guy. But after having multiple conversations with him, I understood his background a little better, was able to understand his successes. We were able to articulate those successes to the client to get him an interview. One of our concerns with that going into the interview was his ability to sell his successes. We had to, I don't want to say pull them out of him, but being an engineer, not necessarily one that's good at selling himself. So we spent some time pulling out his accomplishments, his features, and his achievements, and walk through how to deliver those to the client in a successful manner, which ultimately led to his success.
So in a typical interview setting, candidates would normally interview with anywhere between 4 and 7 individuals, all various backgrounds, senior management team, from operations, sales, IT, finance, accounting, HR, senior management. All those individuals are looking for something specific to what they're responsible for, irrespective of what the role the candidate would be interviewing for. So my recommendation would be to do a lot of homework on the people that the individual would be interviewing with. What that draws out then is the contrast or comparison of how to deliver to each one of those unique hiring authorities what it is they're looking for and how this role affects them in their role and their responsibilities, how they become more successful if this person was brought on. So recently, I guess some of the value a recruiter provides a candidate would be guidance in terms of how to interview well, in terms of the steps. And what I have learned is, to the degree candidates have taken that guidance, it's either helped or hurt. Recently had a candidate that postured or positioned themselves in the prep. Typical prep might take 30 minutes. Maybe this prep took 5 because they cut me off short. I got it, it's fine, I know exactly what I'm doing, I've interviewed before. Didn't take the guidance, in essence. Went into the interview was scheduled to take 2 hours, meet with 4 people. The interview session entirety was over in 15 minutes, and they were escorted out of the building and told on spot, you're just not the right fit for us. That candidate called back, suggesting, in terms of how apologetic they were, they should have listened. Now they're remorseful. Would you give them another shot at other opportunities? But they really blew it on that one, and really, it was their fault in terms of not listening, thinking they knew because they had interviewed before that they had it all put together in terms of a strategy. In a prep, in terms of covering all the mechanics of questions that could come up, there's a million that can come up in a interview setting that candidates are presented. One of those key points is compensation. It's the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Everybody wants to know about, but nobody wants to bring up first. Our recommendation is always not to bring it up for the simple fact of costing yourself an opportunity over $20 a week, or leaving money on the table you didn't know they were willing to spend. 2 examples I have of individuals that didn't take that coaching and let me know afterward that they didn't. They were asked directly, they panicked, and gave the hiring authority, here's exactly what the number is that I'd be willing to come for. Both of these ironically worked out fine. Both ended up with offers that were acceptable. One individual, however, cost themselves $25,000 on a base salary offer, and the other one $50,000. It was a senior role on the base salary in terms of what the company was willing to pay. But the offers ironically came back with what the numbers they had articulated to the hiring authority in the interview setting. I did not let them know, so they're apparently still happy today, not knowing. But certainly the guidance would be to the coaching that a professional recruiter provides is it should be meaningful and impactful, and you should really listen to the guidance.
Well, a couple things that I like to tell candidates in preparation for interviews are the following. I want to make sure that they are really ready to talk about what they have done and what they have contributed versus using the royal we and what we have contributed. Really, we've been over-engineered to talk about the royal we, and we find that companies are really most interested in the details that the individual brings, the leadership skills that they bring, and the individual contributions that they bring. In addition to that, want to make sure that they are really prepared to have a discussion versus coming in with an interview mindset. So it's a good back and forth, even exchange between the interviewer and the interviewee. In one instance, when I was preparing a plant operations director candidate for an interview, what I was able to do was really help them get into the mindset of the interview by providing them with a schematic layout of the overall plant, the actual plant, as well as the specific equipment that was utilized within a fairly large plant. Again, allowed them to get into the mindset of the interview, eliminated surprises, as well allowed them to study up on the various pieces of equipment that were being utilized in the plant, become more of an expert prior to the interview. They actually got the job and are still in place today.